The year was 2000, and Luis Figo was the best player in the world, and he was the front runner to win the Ballon d'Or that year. But even more than that, Figo was priceless in the eyes of the Barcelona fans. They absolutely adored him. And Figo embraced everything about the club and the city. But fast forward a few months ahead, and Figo became public enemy number one as he made the unimaginable move from Barcelona to Real Madrid. And upon his return to Camp Nou as a Madrid player, the hostility he faced was one of the scariest moments in the history of Spanish football. Fans threw whiskey bottles, knives, and even a pig's head at Figo, showcasing their deep hatred for the player they once called their hero. And all this can be traced back to an ambitious plan concocted by a certain Madrid-based businessman. Under the presidency of Lorenzo Sanz, the European Cup returned to the Bernabeu after 32 years, and then they won another in the year 2000, making it 2 Champions Leagues in 3 years. So when it was time for election at the end of the 1999-2000 season, everyone's thinking was that Lorenzo Sanz would easily win the elections. Well, everyone but Florentino Perez. The business mogul believed he could win the elections if he found a way to lure the best player in the world away from their arch rivals. To put his plan in motion, Perez contacted Paulo Futre, a retired Portuguese player who was famously known for his time with Atletico Madrid. Futre had a close connection with Figo's agent Jose Vega, so Perez briefed Futre with his plan and promised him and Vega 6 million euros in commission if they can convince Figo to come to Madrid. Despite having settled at Barcelona, Figo wasn't satisfied with the money he was receiving at Barca, and he was trying to renegotiate his salary for the past year. So his agent used Perez's offer as leverage to get the contract they desired from Barcelona. But Barca also had their own presidential election, and neither the departing president Josep Luis Núñez nor the likely new president Joan Gaspart could guarantee Figo a salary increase. So Vega returned to Perez and signed a contract on behalf of Figo on the condition that if Perez wins the election, Figo would move to Real Madrid. Perez would also pay them the 6 million euros commission whether he wins or not. So in the eyes of Vega, it was an opportunity for easy money, as nobody believed that Perez would win the election, and Figo had no intention of moving to Madrid. That is why Vega signed the contract knowing that there's a clause which would guarantee Perez a 30 million euros payment in the event where Figo refuses to go to Madrid. When the media broke the news of this agreement between Figo and Perez, all hell broke loose. And during his electoral speech, Perez said this regarding the Figo rumors: "If I become the president of Real Madrid, Luis Figo will be a Real Madrid player. And to underline how confident I am, if I'm elected president and this does not happen, I will pay the membership fees for every member next season." Consequently, Figo was under a lot of pressure as the Barcelona fans wanted to know if what Perez was saying was true. They couldn't believe that their beloved Figo would do such a thing. So on the 9th of July, Figo gave an interview to address the growing concerns of the Blaugrana. Figo said, "I want to calm Barcelona's fans, for whom I always have and always will feel great affection. I want to assure them that Luis Figo will with absolute certainty be at the Camp Nou on the 24th for the start of the new season. I have not signed a pre-contract with a presidential candidate at Real Madrid. No, I'm not so mad as to do a thing like that." On July 16th, Florentino Perez was announced as the new Real Madrid president. So following his win, everyone was desperately waiting for Figo's arrival as promised. But behind the scenes, things weren't quite straightforward. Upon hearing Perez's win, Figo told his agent Vega that he doesn't have any intention of joining Real Madrid, which meant Vega will have to pay 30 million euros to Perez if Figo sticks with his stance. And Vega had no means of paying the 30 million euros. So Vega and Futre flew to Sardinia, where Figo was on vacation. And after a long back and forth, they all flew to Lisbon to meet with Perez. and after a long discussion, Figo wanted to call his wife, and after the conversation with his wife, Figo told him that he can't join Real Madrid. According to Joan Gaspard, who was actually celebrating his presidential win that night, Figo called him and asked him to pay 30 million euros to Perez so that he could stay at Barcelona. But Gaspard told Figo that was impossible, after which Figo told him that he would be joining Real Madrid. Perez finally convinced Figo, telling him about his plan to bring the best players from around the world to create the best team on the planet, with Figo being the focal point. So Madrid activated his 60 million euros release clause, at the time making him the most expensive footballer of all time. And in a somewhat poetic manner, on the exact day Figo told the Barcelona fans he would be at Nou Camp for the start of the season, Figo arrived at the Bernabeu as Madrid's first Galactico. The whole of Barcelona felt betrayed by Figo, and they would let their feelings known when he returned to Camp Nou 3 months later. The hostility was so bad that the police had to escort Figo from the team bus to the stadium, and the noise level in the stadium was so high and deafening that Figo had to plug his ears. The fans held up many banners calling him a mercenary, Judas, a scum, and they even printed money notes with his face on it. And every time he went to take corners, bottles, coins, mobile phones, knives, anything they could throw, they launched at him. It was one of the scariest atmospheres in Spanish football history. Figo went on to win the 2000 Ballon d'Or and went on to play for the Los Blancos for 4 more seasons. He won 2 league titles as well as the Champions League in his time at the capital. Figo's move to Madrid marked the start of the Galacticos era, where the likes of Zidane, Ronaldo, Beckham and Owen followed him. His transfer is definitely one of the most significant moments in the bitter rivalry between Barcelona and Real Madrid.